Covered calls are a great way to generate passive income, but should you let your covered calls expire? Should you close them or even roll them? In this video, I will share the only two questions you should be asking yourself to determine the best course of action for your covered calls. The first question is, do you want to keep the underlying stock? So when you sell a covered call, you are effectively giving someone the right to buy your shares at a certain price by a certain date. While you do get a premium for selling that option, there's always a risk that you might lose your shares. Once you decide whether you want to keep the shares, the final question to ask yourself is whether the covered call strike price is in or out of the money. If your covered call strike price is in the money at the date of expiration, i.e. the share price is above your covered call strike, and you do nothing, then your shares will be called away. Here is a simple process flow that will help you make the decision whether you should let your covered calls expire. Let's have a look at the first scenario, which is the easiest as no action is required. Let's say you want to sell your shares at the strike price and your option is in the money. You simply would just let the option expire and let your shares be called away. This approach is typically used when using the wheel strategy. I'll put a link in the description if you want to learn more about that particular strategy. The next scenario is when you want to sell your shares but your covered call strike is out of the money. You could let the option expire worthless and open a new covered call trade on Monday, but what I found is that rolling the option is best. Rolling is where you buy back the option and sell to open a new one, and is the most efficient course of action here, especially if you sell shorter dated calls, as you can exploit the time decay over the weekends. Now let's look at the other side, where you don't want to lose your shares and your covered call strike is in the money. If you do nothing, you will lose your shares. So ideally, rolling your option for a net credit is the best situation here to bring in more income. However, depending on how deep the option is in the money, rolling for a net credit might not always be possible. If you can't do this, you either have to close the option for a loss or roll up your covered call strike for a debit. If your covered call is not in the money, similar to what I said earlier, you should be rolling the position to continue to bring in passive income. If you want to fast track the art of selling covered calls and generating passive income, let's work together. Book your free coaching call using the link in the description so I can understand your income goals and help you build a plan to fast track your wealth.